All right, so now that we have our Dandelion Puffs done and we have added the white crayon to the puffs and to the little flying little bits that are going away, like I said before, if you want to add a green stem to each of them, you can. I think that's nice. It's a little pop of color that kind of makes them a little more realistic. And the next thing we're going to do is cover the background with beautiful color. Now you could paint this. That is one of the best ways to finish it off. But if you don't have paint on hand, you can also use chalk. Chalk is another one that's going to look really pretty. Now if you don't have chalk pastels like I do, and I know that a lot of people don't, a lot of people who really love art might have some art kits at home with some of these sticks that are colorful. Totally recommend using those. But if you don't have them, the chalk you use for the sidewalk is great. It works just as well. Don't worry if that's all you have. That will work wonderfully. I'm going to use the chalk pastel, but like I said, regular chalk is going to work just as well. The only difference is the chalk pastels have a little bit more pigment to them versus the street chalk that you use for the sidewalk usually is a little bit lighter and not as vibrant, but it's pretty much the same thing. So what I'm going to do this is I'm going to choose a few colors that I want to use as a theme. So I could use shades of greens and blues, or maybe blues and purples, or reds and oranges. I'm going to try to come up with a theme. I think I want this to feel like a little bit like a sunset in the background. I just think that'd be fun to do. So I'm going to get some red and some orange, some yellow. I'm trying to think of other colors that I see in the sunset sometimes. I feel like I see a lot of pink sometimes. So I'm trying to use a lot of colors that I think look like sunset-y colors, but you could use whatever you want. Once you're ready, you're going to take your chalk. You're just going to start scribbling with it. And we want to cover all the spaces that we can with the chalk. So I'm using the side of it so that I get a lot more coverage done. And now the thing is, the crayon is not going to completely resist the chalk like it would if I had been doing this with paint. So I'm going to try to leave a little bit of a white circle, like a white space around these Dandelion Puffs. And if I made a mistake and I didn't leave myself a space, I can try to erase it, or just not worry about it and say, oh, well, that part's going to be empty. So when you go around the Dandelion Puff, try to leave a little space around it, little white space, so that it looks like there is some white around it. Okay, so that's just something you're going to have to remember to do. So if you're having a hard time with it, you might want to take a pencil and draw a sort of circle shape around it. And like I said, if you make a mistake like I did, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. We're going to smooth this chalk out in a little bit, but I'm just going to take some random colors. I'm not worrying about what order I'm putting them in. I'm overlapping them a little bit in some places. So I put the yellow on top of the orange over here. I don't think I've used my red very much yet. Ooh, it's a dark red. Ooh, I'm going to put that near the top. It's a little darker than I thought it would be. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'll put a little bit on the edge over here too. And pink comes from the red family. Pink is just red that has had white added to it. So I'm going to put pink near this red, just so it looks a little bit more natural. And again, I'm trying to leave a little bit of a white space around my Dandelion Puffs. Doing my best. If I make mistakes, it's okay. It's still going to look like dandelions in the wind. It's not going to look bad. It's going to look very good. And I'm going to add a little yellow on top over here, just to spice it up because it's getting too pink and too red over here. All right, now that I have all my colors down, I don't want to leave it just kind of scribbly. I want to blend these out. So I'm going to get my fingers a little bit dirty. Now, if you don't like to get your fingers dirty, you can use a tissue. The only thing with using a tissue is a lot of the color ends up on the tissue and not on the paper. Now when you do this with my finger, yes, it ends up on my finger as well, but not as much stays on my finger as it would if it was a tissue. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to push down and gently spread it out. And the other reason why I like to use my finger and not a tissue is I feel like I have more control because I have a sense of feel in my finger. I can feel where I'm going and I can make sure I'm being more careful to avoid the areas that I want to leave white. If I do this with a tissue or a paper towel of some kind, it's going to be harder for me to feel where I'm going, and more likely that I will be making some mistakes. And so that's why I like to use my finger. If you really hate the feel of things being messy, like I said, use a tissue, use a paper towel. It is totally fine. You're not going to ruin anything. But I do like to use my finger for all the reasons I just explained. So I'm going to go through this and smooth it out. What this does is it makes it look really soft, makes it look a lot more like a sunset. See how smooth this side is and how rough it is over here, how much white space there is. The reason why this looks rough is there's all these white spaces. So that's what I'm doing, is taking my finger and smoothing things out so it looks less rough and messy and a little bit softer and cleaner. So this might take you a little while to go around. If you're not sure if you got it all, you could ask someone else's opinion, hold it up and say, hey, do you see any spots I didn't smear? And they can tell you. Or you can just hold it up yourself and take a look and see if you missed anything. So at the end, you're going to end up with this beautiful Dandelion Puff picture where the dandelions are flying away, this dreamy, wishful, beautiful scene. Again, if you did go over something like that and you made a mistake, you could take some white chalk and try to go over it and see if you can help clean it up. But chances are it's going to just kind of stay like that. So, like I said, not the end of the world. It still looks really nice. Maybe this is the one where all of the little seeds came off of. You think so? These two maybe are still full, and maybe this one has all of those little puffs that flew off of it. That could be. So, like I said, if you don't have chalk, you could do the same thing with something like crayon or color pencil. It's just going to take you a lot longer to do, and it just might not look as smooth. But it's totally another option if you don't have the chalk. All right, this is our finished work. I can't wait to see your beautiful, dreamy pieces. Good luck and happy art making.